reviews through this one because I'm ready to jump on the jungle. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
But Jungle Cruise review.
Yeah, and because of Gary's sad attempt, please don't jump ship on us.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
I just thought of that one. You like that?
That was good. That was good.
Listen.
My joke didn't flow well this day.
Yeah,
so.
It happens. Well, maybe that's why, Gary, I have King of Dad Jokes.
You got it.
Trophy,
there you go. That's good.
Given to me by my children.
That is good.
And but I will say that this movie that we're talking about today, which is The Jungle Cruise, and that is the one we are reviewing today. It is very much a movie that is full of dad jokes.
It is.
I loved every second of it. But as you see here, I found the IMAX poster because I thought it was cool. Starring Dwayne Johnson. He has now officially, well, I guess he has for a while, but taken out The Rock in the middle of it. Doesn't need The Rock persona. He's a legitimate actor now, which makes him sound like a drug dealer or something back in the day. But whatever. Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt, starring in Disney's Jungle Cruise that is based on the classic ride called The Jungle Cruise, which is set up. I was actually watching a behind the attractions, quick history. He apparently Walt Disney had won some Academy Awards for doing documentaries back in the day, in the same time when they were trying to do like animated film stuff. And his documentaries were about jungle stuff, trying to take people to other places of the world they can't go. And he wanted people to experience the world. And so he wanted to make an attraction that was like that was about seeing different aspects of the world and different wonders and all that kind of stuff. And it started off kind of serious, but apparently it was boring. So then writers for this ride decided, well, let's add some fun. And they had the skippers tell great dad jokes throughout the entire ride and all these puns. And then the whole Jungle Cruise persona. If you go to Adventureland, like Katie and I, last time we went, we ate at the Jungle Cruise. I forget the actual title. It was like the Jungle Cruise, like dine-in eatery place. And the whole thing, even all that, your waiters, waitresses, hosts, they all have dad jokes. So they really hold on this persona. And that's what this ride is based off of.
Right on.
And so they are in the Amazon. They are looking for this thing that you see in the trailers, that Tears of the Moon. And that's what they're looking for. And they have to like go on this jungle cruise through the Amazon River and through the jungle to find it. And then from there, lots of fun ensues.
Yep, you said the word fun. I had a blast with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a lot of fun, and the jokes were perfect and awful at the same time, which brought me joy. Yeah. And there were times, Efren and I took our daughters to see it. There were times we were the only ones laughing in the theater.
Yeah,
and were we laughing too much at some of these jokes? Yes. However, let us have our joy.
I know you got to have fun with it.
You got to have fun with it.
Yeah. Listen, I came into this movie and I was just like, listen, I've got to have fun with it because I'm expecting all those bad puns.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted because I knew what the ride was like. That's what I wanted. If there weren't puns throughout this movie, I would have been extremely disappointed.
Yeah.
And they had him. Dwayne Johnson delivers them perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way he delivered them, and I love how even the guests that he had on the boat and other people around are just like, oh, stop, yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, keep it coming.
Yeah, he was not going to stop. Yeah, it was very good, very very good stuff. So
yeah, so that's the beginning of it. So, and as we're already talking about, we might as well just get into what is the good of the Jungle Cruise, sir, for you.
The good, pretty much everything you said. It is based on a theme park ride, which is fitting because this is a ride. You're on this journey with them. It's shot very well. It is a gorgeous looking movie. I thought that we accidentally saw it in 3D, which I didn't even know it was in 3D. And I thought the 3D was done really well.
Mm-hmm.
There are times I've seen a 3D movie I hadn't even noticed the difference, but this one I noticed quite a bit. So hats off to them for that. And I thought the story was actually really good. You don't expect that in something like this. The first part of the story was better than the second part. But in the chemistry of Emily Blunt and I'm always going to call him The Rock. I'm sorry. And The Rock I thought was top notch. Emily Blunt she is probably my favorite actress working today. And she's become, one of those actresses that if she's in a movie, people are going to go see it, and she carried quite a bit of this, and her and The Rock had great chemistry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Them two were great. If you don't have chemistry between the two,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not going to work. That's kind of all there is to it. And so you got to have that. Um, so, I mean, like that's why I even pulled up this picture. I mean, because these two carried the entire movie,
Mm-hmm.
and as they should. I mean, the way this movie was written, if you didn't have these two carry it, it would have flopped completely. If it was
Mm-hmm.
any, Emily Blunt did great. The Rock, he did great. He has shown himself he shows a lot more his comedic side.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, this wasn't like Game Plan or Tooth Fairy comedic side,
Yeah.
which was just terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, I've seen some growth. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I've seen some growth out of him, and it was pretty good. So them two were great. I thought the villain, which we'll talk a little bit about later. I thought that guy, I forget what his name is. I think I have a poster of his name on it, but I'll pull it up here in a second.
Jesse Plemons.
Yeah, there we go. He's been in other stuff too. I like him a lot.
He is the evil guy from Breaking Bad, but he was great in this movie.
Oh yeah, he was
Yeah.
also hilarious. To me, this movie felt very self-aware of what it was trying to be and what it needed to be, and I appreciated that. I agree with you. The first half was a lot better than the second half, and we'll discuss that here in a second as well. But I like the setup. I like everything that they had going on. You had this adventure thing going. Like it kind of felt a little bit like Mummy-esque, if you will, like to where it's just kind of that fun adventure film, which is what I wanted out of this as well. And I like that a lot. And I even liked Paul Giamatti, even though he felt a little out of place, but like you could tell like why he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he did good too. And I like the setup. I would always like what they call period pieces. Like they sit this in a certain time period. I've always liked movies like that. And I thought this did a good job playing off of that as well. I mean, even the whole nickname of Emily Blunt being Pants,
Pants.
that whole thing was good. That running gag.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I always enjoy when they have a movie where they're speaking Spanish and I don't need subtitles, but everyone else in the theater does. That's just a little thing for me, but I'm just listening. And one of the great things was, there's one line that was delivered in Spanish. And when you read the subtitles, yes, it's funny, but it's even funnier in Spanish. I just want to point that out.
Nice.
Yeah, when he was, and it was pretty much the line of, and this isn't spoil anything, but he was like, "Speak for yourself. I'm delicious," and it's like, "Yo soy delicioso," and like it's just so much better in Spanish.
Nice.
So I had a lot of fun with that. So now, so I thought the story for the most part was good. The actors they all did a great job. Like you said, effects and stuff were good. Even the over the topness, you see this in the trailer. The over the topness of the submarine into the Amazon. I thought they still played it off pretty well. It's still absurd, but they played it off well, and I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then of course, Germans are bad. So there you go. That's also
They continue to be the bad guys. So to our German friends, we apologize. But hey, stop being bad in the 40s.
Yeah, I know, right? So moving on. Speaking of bad guys and bad things, Gary, what were some of the bad things for you in this?
Not much really. I mean, like you said, it's a very self-aware movie. I think it was a little bit long. I think I may have felt that way because I had my daughter with me, and I was like, man, it's getting past her bedtime. I need to wrap this up. But yeah, there was a few things that I think could have been cut a little bit. Some of the mystical side of things felt a little forced and kind of out of nowhere. You spoke to that a little bit last night. Part of the reason I felt that way is because I was in the bathroom when they were explaining that. So it's kind of not fair for me to say that. But yeah, I mean that's really it. A little long and some forced elements. The second act, it kind of becomes pretty much what we've seen in movies like this for a long time. Action things to wrap it up. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily bad, but it's just a formula that they have, that movies like this that have. So
yeah, I agree. I think the stuff I didn't like about it is mainly because the first half they set things up so well to be that fun adventure movie, and then I felt like they abandoned it to have the supernatural end of things. It's almost like they're like, okay, this is based off of an old rinky-dink ride, just like Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean, we had to add supernatural ghostly elements, so we got to have the same thing here, and it did, and it just felt out of place. And to me, for some reason, in Pirates of the Caribbean, the whole curse and everything that he did, the supernatural stuff, it felt right for what the setting was in that movie. Like it felt like it fit in the movie. That's what I was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
The supernatural stuff didn't feel like it fit in this movie at all.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was like you said, a totally different tone.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't care for that. And the fact that like, I guess the last part of the second act into the third act just completely forgot the fun adventure and went straight into that was just kind of like, it just didn't do well for me. It didn't do well at all.
Well, it engrossed so much of the movie, you know. Yeah. So, and I think speaking of the bad, I kept you mentioned The Mummy, and this may be a knock on. As much as I did enjoy it, I was while watching this, I thought of The Mummy, I thought of Indiana Jones, I thought of Romancing the Stone, I thought of Pirates of the Caribbean. And all movies that, as much as I enjoyed this, are, in my opinion, better than this movie. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, I can kind of see what you're doing here. You're paying homage to these things. You're getting stuff. So it's kind of like, yes, I have no problem with paying homage, but also when you make me think about other movies while I'm watching your movie, not a great thing.
Yeah.
So
Unless you're just going to Easter egg it,
yeah,
like here and there. Like you got to
Yeah.
Easter egg it
yeah,
here and there for that. And that's where, I don't know, like, and that's what kills me. It's like when this movie was like, we're going to be a Jungle Cruise movie and we're going to do it based off this ride and we're going to have the puns, we're going to have the adventure, we're going to have all that. I thought this movie hit a home run with it when it wanted to do that. But then when it was like, oh, but I think the audience might need a little more. We got to get a little more out of it. Like, I feel like they thought too much about it.
yeah,
And it's just like, no, like what you had going was great. And they could have ignored all the supernatural stuff and gone straight to the let's find the tears of the moon and just have that be the thing that you're looking for. And then just having the battle between them and the Germans.
because you had
And
you had the villain, yeah,
Yeah. And just left it at that. Why'd you need this extra supernatural villain element to it? If they would have just taken that out completely, it would have made the movie a little shorter, but I think would have been a lot tighter and a whole lot better movie.
or I mean, don't think too much ahead, but you have that element kind of in the background of this movie, and you go along with the Germans being the bad guys trying to get the tears of the moon, and then you kind of wrap up and you realize that element, we don't want to spoil anything that's out there, and that could play into a second one, and the second one could be that where the tone is, maybe they're trying to get back,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
And even
there were times where it felt like two different movies.
yes, because even like what you're saying right there, and looks like we're kind of fixing this too, but anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
But like
Pulls out.
as you're saying there, even the whole story around The Rock, because I know that's anyway, I don't want to say too much, but like you still could have played into that like in the way you're saying for a second movie. You still could have worked that out. Maybe when we do a fix it later on this movie, because honestly, to me, I'm like movies like this, I like to fix because it's like so much potential and so much good. You just had some missteps. Let us tell you how to fix it to be a great movie, and maybe we'll do that later. But because I know that might be an argument of people who have might seen it. Oh well, that character needed this, and well, you still could have done it.
Yeah,
differently, and
I like the decisions they make with The Rock. I'm trying not to contradict myself. I like the decisions they made with him and his character. However, it was those around him. We didn't need to see all of that. It could have just been hinted at what he was, and then going from there. But yeah, so
yeah. And I will say the other thing, and I know I talked to you about this already, Gary, and I know this will always be a gripe of mine, but the whole stopping of the movie. I don't know if you felt it. But like the whole stopping of the movie to discuss, one character's preferences.
It had his Loki moment.
Yeah, it had its Loki moment. And like, it just, again, not expecting Disney to be a Christian in any way, sense of the form, but you could have done it right.
Yeah.
You could have done it better. Honestly, here's what I think, Gary. If they would have just done it while they were trying to chop wood, instead, and like if they would have just had that conversation while they're trying to chop wood, to me, that would have made a whole lot more sense than they chop wood. Okay, let's stop the movie. Let's sit down. Let's look at each other and have a conversation, and let's exposit all over the audience.
Yeah.
Like it's just lazy. It's lazy to me.
It is. And what kind of saved that scene for me was what Emily Blunt was doing in the background. So it kind of didn't feel like it came to a screeching halt because that was important to the story, what she was doing.
Yeah.
But it's very much like on the nose. We know what you're doing. Here is Disney's woke moment,
Yeah.
where they're going to tell us, how we need to think, and it's one of those things you just kind of wait for it to happen, and here it is. So
yeah, and it was like I said, if they would have just done it while they were chopping wood, so at
Yeah.
least it felt so that way. What Emily Blunt's doing in the background, they're chopping wood, having this conversation. Here's what I thought of. Remember the scene in Age of Ultron?
yeah, yep,
Where they're chopping wood and they're having this serious discussion where, again, political ideologies, what should we do, blah blah. So you kind of had the same kind of setup, but Age of Ultron did it right because they were doing something.
yep.
They were trying to keep their mind off. They were trying to do something. It's like you were almost there. If they would have just had that whole conversation while they were chopping wood, while they were trying to do something to continue the plot because they needed the wood, they needed that stuff for the boat to continue the story moving forward. Honestly, I would have been like, all right, at least it just moved forward. No big deal.
Yeah.
But it was the laziness of it and how they did it that bugged me.
Yeah, because you said you have it in the middle of what they're doing. Don't stop the movie, screech it down. Yeah, there were some. I do think. I'm remembering what is revealed as to why one of the characters is so loyal to Emily Blunt's character. I think that added something to him, but also it's just kind of the way they went about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as that Loki episode where they could do a whole episode around it, but it was still in the same league.
Yeah. Well, because the Loki episode, there was zero payoff.
Yeah.
At least in this one, like you said, I'll give them that. At least they showed why he was so loyal to her, which at least it makes sense for the story. I just think, again, it just goes back to don't do the screeching halt. Dang it. That's lazy writing.
Yeah. The one thing about this movie is very, very similar to The Mummy. The more I think about it, you got the alpha male, the stubborn female, and her goofy brother.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
Not saying that's a bad thing, but
yeah. But I will say the goofy brother in this was actually pretty hilarious.
He
I mean, he was.
This is a driver. I thought that was good.
Well, I just even love the little brother. Little brother, I have a name.
Yeah. And that goes back. There's some funny moments. There's some legit funny moments in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was good. I mean, and it wasn't, I put that in the bad category just because of how they wrote it. And I just thought it was lazy. Like, do it right, man.
Yeah.
Again, I'll go back to Cruella. Done right.
Yep. Which I still need to see that.
Yeah. If you're going to do that, do it right and do it justice, So anyway, moving on to the pastor. What you got there?
Doggone it. Do it right like Cruella.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, I love it.
I'm trying to redeem myself from earlier.
Hey, efforts need to be made, my man. Efforts need to be made.
Yeah.
So anything on the pastor, sir, that you got going on that you can think of?
I mean, I was just thinking about, Emily Blunt, her character, she's going after this thing for unselfish reasons. She's going into this unknown because what she can find can help others back home. And that is kind of the same mindset we should have as presenting the gospel. No matter the rough waters, no matter the unknown, we're told to go and share. And her attitude towards that really spoke to me. It was like, okay, that's kind of a message I got from there,
Yeah. And even her saying like the importance of trust, like she's poured all this trust into the Rock, into his character, into the skipper.
Yeah.
And she's pouring this trust. He's having, she's trusting her life in his hands and stuff. And he has his own selfish ambitions. He's just trying to get his money. He wants his shit, this, that, the other. And just even that importance of like trust has to go both ways. And then when he needed her to trust him the most, she couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because everything about him was a sham, as she said, And so like even that importance of trust, I thought was very, very good and how it needs to go both ways and it has to be earned. And if you break it, like, it's going to take some getting used to, some time to build it back up. Now, granted, movie time is quicker than normal time, but
it is. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
So
So, and then on the dad point, as we said, we took our daughters.
we did.
He took Lainey. I took my eldest daughter, Selah. I did not take any of the younger ones because I thought some elements might have been too scary for them. So, and that again, that was me knowing my girls. So, my oldest, she's 9. I knew she could handle most of the stuff in this. I mean, this movie is rated PG-13, but it is because of the action.
Yeah.
There's no language in this
None
at
that I
all.
heard. None. Yeah.
Nothing sexual. I mean, there's
Very
nothing.
family friendly. Very friendly.
Yeah.
The film movie.
Yeah, and even the whole scene about screeching halt for preferences that we were talking about, it will go
And-
over the kids' heads.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the way they did it, the kids will have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So me personally, I wouldn't let that deter you from taking your kids if you wanted to, because they will have no idea. And I don't know about you, but my daughter didn't ask what that
Same.
meant. She did not care. She didn't know. She was just like, whatever.
Yeah. It's very family friendly, but there is the mythical element. When the mythical stuff showed up, I was like, oh boy, I wasn't sure how Lainey was going to react. She slept through the night, had no issues. She just talked about how creepy some of this stuff was, but she absolutely loved it. So know your kids, and go from there. But if you want a night out, family friendly movie, go check it out.
Yep.
And I've never done this, but if it offers it in 3D and that doesn't bother you, check it out 3D. The 3D is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I was very surprised at the 3D. You could actually see everything.
Yeah.
I like the depth of it. So I thought that was pretty good. She probably should have done that back.
As my daughter learned last night, if you put your head in the popcorn bucket with the glasses on, you will get butter on your glasses. You will not be able to see anything. She didn't have her glasses on. I was like, put your glasses on. I can't. I was like, why? And I put them on. She's covered in butter.
Oh, my goodness.
I had to go get her new ones, poor thing. So anyway,
So do we have one more? Oh, that's not it. Sorry. I thought I had another picture, but yeah, family friendly. Like I said, don't let anything else out of that other stuff deter you. For kids, it keeps the action moving. It keeps things fun. Again, your daughter's what, a 7?
6.
She's 6. Mine was 9. That went. I mean, it kept them entertained. It kept it fun. Again, a little creepy. Know your kids. It just depends. That's why my 7-year-old didn't go, because she may be older than Lainey, but I know she wouldn't have handled those parts well. So know your kids on that one.
Gotcha.
Don't let the PG-13 scare you for family-friendly stuff, because again, there's nothing in it. It's just the action and the creepy images.
Yep.
That's
pretty much.
it. So you ready to rate this thing, sir?
I'm ready. Yeah. We'll come back and forth on a couple things, but I'm gonna give it a solid rating of 3 out of 5. Not quite my hats off rating, but a solid 3 out of 5. Very watchable. I'll probably throw it on the shelf. Just because of Emily Blunt's awesome, The Rock's awesome, and their dynamic carries this movie. So I'm gonna get 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I'll keep it the same. I actually, just so everyone knows, like I went and saw it when it came out, but I wanted to wait to do any kind of review and see it with the kids and stuff. And honestly, 3 out of 5. I thought it was great. We had those issues. The second half was a problem. That's what kept it going to a 4. If they would have committed on some things like we already talked about, probably would have got a 4. But it's good enough. 3 is always, it could be shelf worthy. It could not. I agree with you. This would be a shelf worthy one to have. Fun for the kids as they get older. Just a good fun movie.
And I can't wait to see what the 4K disc looks like, because it looked amazing in the theater. It was a really well done movie. Cinematomics, or whatever you call it.
It was really well done. And there wasn't, and honestly, I don't think I remember a time when I was like, oh, they're in front of a green screen.
I didn't notice anything, but I'm not good at catching that stuff. So I'll watch some reviews and they'll be like, CGI was horrible, and I'm like, I didn't notice it.
Yeah, probably the worst is the leopard. Was probably the worst on the CGI, but even then, it wasn't like horrid.
Yeah.
Because when I think of horrid, I think of the Incredible Hulk from 2000 horrid.
I think of that, and I think of X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty bad. But hopefully this won't be the last time we see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt in a movie together.
Yeah,
because they were good together. So
they were good. So definitely worth checking out. Good see it with the family.
Check it out.
It was good, solid. Got solid 3.
Solid 3.
So
all right.
Yeah. Well, so that's all we got, and we will see you guys next time with another review, more Batman talk. We'll see.
Yep.
Just turn on the bell, subscribe if you haven't yet, and don't miss out on any future videos that we have for you.
Thanks for rolling on the river with us for this review.
Yes, much better.
I try.